What's up, guys? Josh Mosman here. Welcome to episode 44 of our This Week in MXA video series presented by O'Neill Racing. In this video, we got a really cool interview with Zach Osborne talking about planning to retire this year due to his back injury, but then coming back from that, continuing to race in 2022 and actually scheduling 22 to be his last season. We also talked to Zach about his new training program, leaving Eldon Baker and going over to ride at the 83 compound. So he's going to be where Hunter Lawrence and Jet Lawrence are riding. Also, Cooper Webb is riding there now after he left Eldon Baker's program, and the Rocky Mountain KTM team, they're going to be based out of there. So Shane McElrath, Joey Savacci, and those guys will be there as well. So very interesting program, very interesting interview that I got with Zach Osborne. So stay tuned for that. Also, some major news going on in the industry. Justin Hill has announced that he's kind of coming out of retirement and he's going to race in 2022 with the PRMX Kawasaki privateer team in the 450 class. So very surprising. Justin is a friend of mine and he kind of went off the map in the 2021 season. He was originally planning to race with Moto Concepts Honda. Contracts didn't work out. He was in disagreement basically with the Moto Concepts team and they didn't work the details out. So that's how Brock Tickle got the ride at Moto Concepts. Justin Hill, he went home to Oregon, became a sheriff, and I honestly didn't think he was going to race again, but very excited to talk to him. I have an interview scheduled with him, so check out motocrossactionmag.com. We got his interview coming there very soon, or possibly in next week's This Week in MXA video. So looking forward to that. Also, Aaron Plessinger signed with KTM. Big news, finally became official. And then Justin Bogle, he moved over to the HEP Suzuki team. So that's also news that we kind of heard rumored, but now it's confirmed as well. So lots of moving pieces. As for the Moto Concepts Honda team, we've known that Justin Brayton was going to be there for a while. Vince Freeze and Mitchell Oldenburg are also going to be there, and they're going to do a unique program where Vince Freeze and Mitchell Oldenburg will both ride the 250 class, but when they're not racing the 250 class, they'll be in the 450 class. So let's say Vince Freeze chooses West Coast, he'll be riding the 250 for the first portion of the season, while Mitchell Oldenburg, he'll be getting seat time in the 450 class. Then when it switches over to the 250 East region, Mitchell Oldenburg will go racing, and then Vince Freeze, he'll jump up to the 450 class. So technically they're going to have 3 riders going at all times, 2 450 riders going at all times, and 1 250 rider. So it should be interesting from the Moto Concepts Honda team. Anyways, let's get into this interview with Zach Osborne. Really excited and cool to catch up with him and kind of get his thoughts and learn a little bit more about his program, his back injury, what he had to do to come back from it, and ask him some questions like, hey, if you're retiring next year, what are you going to do after that? I think he's a guy that likes to ride, and I could see him doing something similar to what Andrew Short has done, going to race rally. So let's get into it. What's going on? So we knew that there's a lot of rumors, and then you even explained to me that you planned on retiring when we saw each other at the WPS sales meeting a couple months ago now, and then things changed. Now you're going back racing. So back injury, you crashed at Houston, right? The first round of the season. Was that kind of the start of the back injury, or was it kind of already lingering from something else before that? And just give us a little bit of a rundown of what happened.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Houston. More to do with really gnarly ankle sprain at Indy 2, I think it was. Indy 2 or Indy 3, that I lost some tension, but it's been a long build to get to the point where I had to stop riding for a while and, make a new plan and kind of reinvent the wheel with how my posture and how I take impact and load and stuff through my body. So it was a long build to get to there, but that was maybe the straw that broke the camel's back, was the Indy thing. Could have been a lot of things, but that's kind of the one thing that comes to mind, really. And yeah, I mean, there was some speculation, and even I kind of had considered retiring and thought that was the way that I was going to go, just because the timeline that had been laid out in front of me and what it looked like as far as the corporation making a decision. So that was kind of my only option. And then some things changed within that, and the timeline was extended, and my back continued to improve and really just got better and better. And I'm in a good spot. I rode 4 times this week on Supercross and just feel like myself again on the bike. It was a long time off, and even like from the time I got hurt during Supercross till the time I stopped during outdoors was spotty at best as far as riding went. There was some 6 or 8 week gaps in there, and so it's really been like January or February since I had a really good solid month and like day-to-day program. So it's nice to be kind of back in a little bit of a routine and making some forward progress.
Cool. So the injury was obviously your back, right? Your lower back, and
yeah.
And then the ankle injury. How did that play into the back injury?
Well, it's a lot of anatomy, basically an anatomy lesson, but like I have super hyperlax joints and just a loss of tension from my shoulder to my ankle. You know, your back goes X, the muscles in your back are basically an X. So my left ankle turned into tightness on my right side, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So it's been a lot of layers to peel back and get to the bottom of it. And really, like I said, just kind of reinvent the way that I load and impact through my body and through my back. And it's been a really fun process, but at the same time, occasionally frustrating because it's like, you know, back and forth on progress and, you know, am I making progress? Am I not? So to kind of get to a point now where I'm comfortable with riding and being able to say that I'm going to go racing is really rewarding.
Nice. That's cool. And so you've been working with, I see on Instagram, Dr. Brandon Kielman. I don't know if that's how you say his last name, but he's got you doing all kinds of wild things in the gym, and it looks like it's working, obviously, because you started doing it back when we thought that you were going to retire, and now you're still doing it and you're going racing again.
Yeah, I originally met Dr. Kielman in 2018 when I was rehabbing a shoulder reconstruction from my crash at Lakewood, and we just kind of kept in touch, and I knew that he had been doing a lot of work with backs and this concept called GOTA. It's like I don't even know how you would explain it, but it's like a very specialized pattern of movement. And whenever this all happened, I went there for a couple weeks and then would go to California because they wanted more answers, and so did I. And it, you know, we kind of let it lapse, but like the last basically since Lakewood, when I ruled out getting surgery, we've been every day, you know, 7 days a week, grinding on this thing, and it really has kind of turned the corner for me.
That's awesome. And is he close to home to you in Florida?
He's about an hour away, the gym that he works out of, so I go there sometimes and he comes to me sometimes. Nice. Just in my garage, and we just we hammer there.
Nice. And then is it surprising or like, what's that process been like? Because I know I personally went through it with the shoulder that the doctor said you'll never be able to ride again. You can't lift your arm, this and that. And then through therapy, you know, had to do the little things, focusing on the little muscle groups that, you know, you're lifting. For me, it was lifting 2-pound weights while laying on the table. And it's just embarrassing if anybody walks in while you're doing it. But at the end of the day, you know, after a couple months of doing it, you're like, wow, I feel a lot stronger. I can ride now. I can ride with my elbows up a little bit. So is that kind of what it's like for you? Was it hard to kind of buy into his program where he's having you do exercises that are a lot different than normal?
No, not really. I mean, like the movement side of things and the way it all works has really been intriguing to me for quite some time now, since I got my first functional movement screen in like 2010 or 11. All of that, like with corrective different movement patterns, it's always interested me. So I kind of knew that the gist of what I was getting into, and knew that it wasn't going to be exactly your traditional route. So it hasn't been a huge surprise, but the progress and just kind of how come in the short amount of time, and to see the images from the MRI and stuff, you know, just kind of affirms it. We were really kind of unsure of what that was going to look like as far as like a medical imaging standpoint, and the change was actually massive. So that was really cool for both of us, really.
Nice. That's awesome. And so the pain was it lower back? Was it when you're walking or riding or lifting things, or what was that like when you were having it?
It basically just like my pelvis was locked in one position that I couldn't move through, and a lot of pain in my SI joints, which is kind of strange for what I had going on. And that was what ended up kind of ruling out surgery for me, was the fact that it wasn't like centralized back pain. It was more around everything. And that was the reason that I chose to try therapy, give myself 6 months or a year to try to reprogram the way I move and the way my body, you know, like I said, takes force. So I'm really glad that I did. In hindsight, I was a little nervous to just say no to surgery and try to move forward and doing something that is not as proven, or, you know, there's no risk in it, really. I guess, you know, it wasn't going to hurt much worse than what it did. So I just tried to choose the path and go all in.
Nice. Well, that's good. I'm stoked that you were able to figure it out without surgery, because surgery is even if it's fixing something, it's still just gnarly that the process of going under the knife and having something like done like that. So that's pretty awesome to see. You got good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and so you've also said that you're planning on 22 as being your last year. Is that official, or what's going on there?
Well, I mean, that was my plan all along. Like I said in the other interview, I asked for a 1-year extension, at the beginning of 21 into 2020 and the beginning of 21, because that was kind of my plan to do a year after 21. So obviously going to be other opportunities to race, but I think as a full-time professional Supercross and Motocross racer, this will be my last full season.
Cool. And so that takes me to, I've seen you do adventure bike rides. I think was it Iceland or Greenland that you went to?
I went to Iceland, but not on an adventure bike ride. I really want to go on an adventure bike ride, and I'm trying to set something up with a friend for the end of the year, for the end of next year to be able to go. So that's on my list of things to do. But I did go to Iceland just for a fun trip with some buddies. We got an RV and drove around the whole island for a week, and it was
super cool. And so where what kind of things interest you right now after racing? Because you did a GNCC race, right? And we've seen Andrew Short, he transitioned into off-road and then rally racing. Is that something that you'd be interested in, or where do you want to go after this?
I really don't know. I've always had some interest in the GNCC thing. I think that the racing and the atmosphere is just unmatched in motorcycle racing, I guess. I think that it's just a more fun, more laid back atmosphere, but also as they rip, I wasn't not exactly peak form last year when I went, but I got absolutely smoked. So, I mean, that's a big piece to bite off for what I've already kind of done. This will be my 17th season as a professional racer. And, I don't know. We'll see how I feel at the end of next season and kind of go from there.
That's cool. Super cool. All right. And then knowing from past experience, being injured, going to the races, watching and kind of looking at it from a different perspective always teaches you a lot. I feel like I'm smarter now that I'm watching more races and riding for fun and riding here and there than I was when I was just in the game time mode. And you appreciate racing. You've had a career that's a lot different than most top racers, most 450 champions, and I don't think you take it for granted, in comparison to others. But at the same time, when you're in the grind, you kind of have your blinders on. You're focused on the task at hand. So what was it like to go to the races to help out RJ Hampshire? He said that you helped him out quite a bit. What was it like to be there kind of with the blinders off, just experiencing the race from a different perspective, and what have you kind of learned through that?
You get kind of caught up in that pressure trap, right? Where it's like, you got to do this and this and this to do this on the weekend, or, you've got to do those hard days, which the hard days are my fun part. The fun part of the year for me is from now until the first race, the really grindy season is what I like. But just appreciating the small things is so huge, and it's so easy to see, like you said, outside of being a racer, when you're trying to tell somebody what to do, it's really easy. But when you're doing it yourself, it's a lot harder to just kind of take it all in and realize where you're at in the sport and what you're privileged and blessed to do. It's a different perspective, a different look at it. And that's my goal for the season, is to just, put in what I know needs to be done and really go to this and just take in every moment and enjoy that, knowing that, this is going to be my last full year of racing, and, do it at the highest level that I can and that I ever have.
Totally. What's one tangible thing that's going to be different, you think? Are you going to be, less stressed out, or are you going to think more about doing this, or are you going to study more races in between, each round, or what's something tangible that you think you'll be doing different for this season?
It's more just a gratitude thing, right? For me, just I get so caught up in the little things, and I stress details so much, and numbers, whether it's heart rate or watts or whatever, on the bike, off the bike, it's all to play for me, and I think that there's room for just relaxing and kind of enjoying the whole program, as far as going to the races, seeing opening ceremonies. drive far and wide or fly far and wide to come to a Supercross. And not only do I get to go to them every weekend, but I get to race in them every weekend. You know, it's a bit of a perspective switch, and that's the main thing for me, is just kind of keeping all that in check, and really just enjoying everything that I'm blessed to be able to do.
That's super cool. Super cool. All right, and then another big change. Not going to be with Alden Baker next year. Going to the 83 compound. We got Cooper Webb there, Vogel, Savachi, the Lawrence brothers, and now Zach Osborne. It's can you give us some insight, like kind of the reason why you wanted to make a change for the last season?
The main thing was just like to maintain my back. The program that I need to do to maintain my back is very gym heavy, gym dependent, I guess you would say, and it just didn't seem realistic that Alden and I could kind of come together on that being my main, form of gym. So that was the main reason for the switch. It ended gracefully, and I'm very grateful to Alvin for all that he's done for me and for my career over the past 5 years. But it was time for me to make a change, and the main reason that I chose Compound 83 is just the guys that are there are fast, and I think that's one of the biggest benefits to being at Alden's, is just having a group of fast guys to ride with and train with every day. So it just seemed like the most fitting place to go. And
totally awesome. And then the air shock that you guys ran on in Supercross this season, I thought it was super cool. I know a lot of people are interested in it. It's kind of secretive. There's not a lot of information about it out there. But what was it like riding with that for you? And did you stick with it the whole time, or were you kind of going back and forth?
I stuck with it until I stopped racing, I believe. I'm pretty sure. But it was great. It was a huge improvement for the chassis that we had last year. I'm not sure that we'll continue with it this year with our bike, but I think for the time being, it was cool. It was fun to try new things and be a part of those really early days testing phases. So I enjoyed it. It was something that I really was kind of against when they first started talking about it or started riding with it or whatever, but it quickly came around whenever I kind of realized how good it was.
That's cool. And what was different about it? Just the way it handled, or could you feel that it was lighter, or what was something that was different about it?
Well, it kind of filled a void for something we were looking for or searching for, and I think that was kind of the biggest benefit. But definitely just a completely different feel to spring shock, or something more conventional, which I guess is only a spring shock. But just a totally different feeling than what you would normally feel on the same. Obviously we tested that stuff religiously back to back, and just a totally different ball game. That's cool. Super cool. All right, and then signature goggle, got it right here, the Zach Osborne special. I think it's beautiful. It stands out quite a bit. What's it like to have your own goggle now with FMF and 100%? And are we going to see more stuff like that in the future? First of all, it's awesome. It's a huge honor. Whenever we originally started talking about the deal, that was a huge selling point for me. And I'm sure you probably got the media kit box thing. Yep. That thing was cool. They sent me one. I asked them to save me one because I knew that there was some sort of media presentation for the launch, and just the whole thing. It's been humbling, and again, I'm very grateful for the experience to have my name on something like that. And I had pretty much complete free reign over what it looked like and everything. So it's really cool to see people reacting in such a positive way and have a cool product out there with my own kind of special touch on it. Cool. That's awesome to hear. Also, MXA, we're busy with our 450 shootout right now. Can't really give you guys too much of a sneak peek because there's some really exciting stuff that I want you to wait until you see the final video for that. So that'll be coming out soon. Also, I'll be racing at Oktobercross. It's REM on the main track this Saturday at Glen Helen. And then the following weekend is the World Vet Championship at Glen Helen. So that's a big one for a lot of industry guys that are usually busy working at the races during the year or sponsoring other riders. They're out racing themselves at World Vet at Glen Helen. So that'll be fun. That'll be an all new track layout this weekend and next weekend for that. So, all right, guys. So that's it for our This Week in MXA video. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, motocrossactionmag.com for the latest news, reviews, race results, product tests, bike tests, shootouts, and more. We got a lot of stuff coming to our website, and subscribe to our YouTube
YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with the latest videos. Thanks for tuning in. See you at the next time.